Who you marry is single-handedly one of the second most important decisions you'll make in your life, behind accepting Jesus as your Lord and Savior. Who you marry is a sinner. They're a sinner. You're a sinner. And you both are coming together to give the best representation of Christ in a broken and fallen world. So what that means is you're not going to be perfect. So who you choose to marry, who you choose to serve that ministry with, to not make it about yourselves, but to make it about Christ. You come up against a problem that's not you against her or him against her, but it's you against that problem, you guys against the problem. Because it's not really a problem, right? It's sin, right? So who you marry is single-handedly one of the most important decisions. That's who you're going to pray with. That's who you're going to pray for. That's who you're going to submit to or submit back to the Lord continuously. That's who you're going to lead every single day. Take your time on that decision. Take your time. Who you marry.
Listen, I agree with that. I really do. And what it brings to mind is a conversation I had with my brother years ago. Shout out to my older brother, Big O. Taught me a lot, really did. And one of the things he brought to light for me was this about understanding, like, after Christ, the second greatest decision we have to make, or should I say one of the second weightier decisions we have to make, is who we choose to marry. And I'll never forget how that moment made me realize, like, man, so marriage is a big deal. You know, you don't just marry off of emotions. I mean, some people do, and hey, but I realized in that moment, like, this is not something I should rush into. This is not something I should just do without counsel, without vetting someone properly, without also being willing to be vetted, you know? Because I know sometimes people don't think, you know, as men, we should be vetted, but I think women should vet men properly. Not in a masculine way, but get to know them, to know who it is you're marrying. So yes, who you marry is very important. It impacts your life. And he talked about, you know, this is someone you'll be praying with. And this is someone that you'll be working through conflict with. Like, that's huge. You know, someone who, if they're stubborn, you have to remember, like, hey, how are we going to be able to work through things? That's something you have to consider. How will I be able to work through things with this person as one if they're stubborn, if they admit that they're stubborn, if, you know, before we're even engaged, they're showing this unhealthy behavior of stubbornness that's beyond what I can even handle. Like, it's like it takes 7 to 10 business days for them to get out of that funk of stubbornness or whatever it is. So you have to understand that. And I'm not saying marriage is a prison. I'm not saying that at all. What I am saying is that considering who we marry is so important, because once we're married, it's between, you know, the two people, the man and woman, and God. And you want to make sure that the person that you marry is someone you can work through conflict with, someone that you're aligned with spiritually, someone that you're aligned with practically. Everything's not going to be like, I have all these 5 things and she has all these 5 things. No, it's not going to be like, oh, we both have the same 5 things and it goes like that. No, what I'm saying is you need to be aligned on the most important things. At least this is what I was taught. You need to be aligned on the most important things, like faith, finances, and how finances will be worked. Conflict, like how we're going to work with conflict, how we're going to, like, who we're going to involve in our conflict, how we're going to handle family matters. Will family be staying with us, or is that a boundary that we're not going to let in? How much will we allocate to family on either side? There are a lot of things that have to be talked through and worked through. How much say-so will you allow your parents to have versus not having? And it's just a lot to be talked about. So it's very important. Secondly, to that, I'll say this. Marriage is still supposed to be beautiful. Not perfect, beautiful. It's supposed to reflect grace, mercy, forgiveness. Another one of my buddies, he's a pastor. One of the advice he gave me, he said, forgive quickly, as quick as possible. Forgive quickly. That's Brother Jeremy. He's a pastor, and I'll never forget that he told me that. He said, that's something that I do. I forgive quickly. And another piece of advice he gave me, he said, your wife is not the co-star in your movie or your story. You know, like, it was just good nuggets that were given, that just like a flag planted down, like a banner. It's like, man, those things have stuck with me. And I think a lot of times when we're engaging in these conversations with people maybe we're interested in, like, sometimes they haven't even heard these things. So that's why I think having conversation, vetting properly, and when I say vet properly, just asking the right questions and being open to be asked, and being forthcoming, not running away from conflict, but rather, you know, standing in front of the classroom and saying, hey, this is something that that would happen at some point, at points in times in marriage. So why run from it now? Let's see how we handle conflict. It's just so important. It's a huge thing. It's something that's still sacred, regardless of what's going on in society, regardless of how marriage is trying to be redefined. It is still, in God's eyes, defined as a covenant between one man and one woman before God. And that's the way I see it. That's what I stand on. That's what I believe. And I believe it's a beautiful thing. But with beauty also comes challenges. And those challenges don't make it less beautiful. If anything, it allows you to just see just how much more beautiful it is, because you've been able to work through things. You know, it's so much I could say about it, but yeah. And he said in the video, take your time. And I know some people, you know, may have a difference of opinion, and I'm all for both, like hearing both sides, but I lean more towards take your time and consider the weight of what you're doing than jump right into it, because jumping into something that you're not prepared for, something that you haven't received good counsel on, that could be a bad idea. And I just want to put this plug in for men. You know, God created us to be leaders, not dictators, not misogynists, but leaders. And leaders carry a heavy responsibility. And I want to be very clear. Being a leader and being masculine, according to the Bible, still looks like misogyny to some people. And that's okay. That has nothing to do with anything. Some people just don't like God's order. We're still called to be men. We're still called to lead. We're still called to bring structure and order and walk that out, to lead that out. Not in perfection, not with a heavy hand, not as a dictator or someone demanding control, but as someone who's serving, like a servant leader, like Christ. Christ didn't play no games. You know what I'm saying? But he was compassionate. He still was very compassionate. He led. He was gracious. I mean, all of the things. And men, we are given this charge, not to be Jesus, but to be like Christ and to walk as leaders. And that's one thing I've just been embracing, is the importance of being a leader. It's on you and I as men to lead. We set the temperature. We choose. You know what I'm saying? We lead this thing, and we follow Jesus. And yeah, I just wanted to drop that nugget in. I know there are plenty of men who've been married and who are married, and maybe there's some women who are married. I would love to hear your thoughts, and even if you're not married, let me know what you think in the comment section. Let's engage. I'll make sure I put the link for the original video in the description, so that if you want to check that out, you can. All right, that's all I got to say about that. I'll catch y'all in the next video.
Stand on it, be strong.